Have you ever wondered why some men effortlessly command respect from women without raising their voice, chasing or proving anything? Why do certain men walk into a room, say little, but earn more admiration than those who constantly try to please? Today I want to reveal something powerful, something ancient, 5 Stoic boundaries that not only protect your dignity, but make women look at you with deeper respect, often even love. These aren't just tips. These are principles, passed down from the great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius himself, molded for your modern life. But before we dive into these transformative boundaries, I have a small request. If you're tired of feeling disrespected, misunderstood, or taken for granted in your relationships, then hit that subscribe button, like this video, and stay with me until the end. This might just change how you experience love forever. Now let me tell you a story. The man who couldn't say no. There was a man named Lucius. Kind-hearted, generous, always available. He believed love was about giving endlessly. When his girlfriend needed him, he dropped everything. When she insulted him, he forgave without a second thought. When she lost interest, he begged for attention. The more he gave, the more invisible he became. Eventually, she left, not for someone richer, stronger, or better looking, but for someone with boundaries. A man who didn't bend just to keep the peace. A man who knew how to say no. Lucius didn't understand. He asked himself, why did she leave when I gave her everything? And that's when he stumbled upon Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher who taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Lucius had no boundaries, and without boundaries there is no respect. Let's now explore 5 boundaries, inspired by the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, that make women truly respect you. 1. Protect your time like a warrior guards his sword. Have you ever canceled your own plans just to see her? Skipped the gym? Delayed your work? Missed a friend's gathering just because she suddenly felt like meeting? You probably told yourself this is what love is, right? Sacrifice. But let me tell you a story, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see yourself in it. His name was Ayan. Not a bad-looking guy, smart, kind. The kind of man who actually listened when a woman spoke. The kind of man every mother would want their daughter to date. And most of all, he believed in love. Deep, honest, fairy tale love. He met her on a quiet December night. Snow was falling. She was wearing that red scarf, the one he still remembers in every single dream, and for a while, it felt magical. They'd talk for hours, laugh about nothing, share secrets at 3 a.m., like two souls that had been apart for lifetimes and had finally collided again. But slowly, something began to change. She started asking for more. Can you pick me up? Can you cancel your plans for me? Why didn't you reply in 3 minutes? And Ayan, thinking this is what good men do, always said yes. He gave his time, his energy, his sleep, his attention, his entire self. But something strange happened. The more he gave, the more she pulled away. Let me pause here. Have you ever been in that kind of love, where you give everything and still feel like you're losing them? Where you replay every moment in your head wondering what went wrong, even though you did everything right? If so, you're not alone, because Ayan's story is your story, my story. Every man's story who's ever loved too much and lost himself in the process. And then one night, Ayan found himself staring at the ceiling, heartbroken and soul exhausted, and he came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. It is not your task to do so. It hit him like lightning. He realized he had made her his priority, but he was only an option to her. He had been giving away his time like loose change, when it was, in truth, the most sacred currency he had. Time you can never get back. Time you should guard like a warrior guards his sword. That night, Ayan made a vow. No more rearranging his life for someone who won't even honor his presence. No more losing sleep over late-night drama. No more pressing pause on his dreams to fit into someone else's schedule. And here's the twist. When he started setting boundaries, she noticed. She became curious again, interested, even respectful. Because when you protect your time, you project value. And when you value yourself, others begin to do the same. So let me ask you again, brother. Who or what are you giving your time to? Is it someone who deserves it? Or someone who just expects it? Because real love, it doesn't demand you to burn yourself out just to keep the flame alive. It meets you halfway. It respects your time. It honors your path. To never tolerate disrespect, not even once. Have you ever let someone talk down to you just because you loved them? Have you ever heard her say something that cut deep? Maybe a joke about your job, your looks, your dreams, and you just smiled it off? You told yourself, it's okay. She didn't mean it, but deep down it hurt, and yet you said nothing. This is the story of Arav, and if you've ever loved someone more than you loved yourself, I promise you'll see your reflection in his heartbreak. Arav was the kind of guy who believed that love meant loyalty, that when you love someone, you understand them, you forgive, you stay patient. He met her at a college poetry night. She loved his words, he loved her laugh, and for a while it was beautiful. But as months passed, small cracks appeared. At first it was sarcasm. "Oh, you still haven't figured out your career?" She'd laugh, and he'd chuckle awkwardly because he didn't want to look sensitive. Then came the public jabs. "You're not much of a man if you can't make decisions quickly," she'd say in front of friends. Arav would go quiet. His friends would glance, embarrassed for him. But he told himself, she's just fiery. That's her personality. But let me ask you this honestly. Have you ever mistaken disrespect for personality? Have you ever convinced yourself that love comes with pain? If so, then you know Arav's pain too well. One night something inside him cracked. They were arguing again, about something small. He can't even remember what it was. But what she said next he'd never forget. "You're too soft. Maybe that's why no one takes you seriously. Maybe even I don't." Silence, and that was it. Not the words, but the realization that he had allowed this. He had allowed love to become a reason to accept disrespect. He had betrayed the one person who never should have been disrespected, himself. That night Arav read something that would shift his world. A quote from Marcus Aurelius. "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He didn't argue. He looked her in the eyes and said something he never thought he'd say. "I don't tolerate disrespect. If you love me, you'll speak to me with kindness. If you can't, then I'll walk away." And he meant it. She froze. For the first time, she saw not the soft man who swallowed his voice, but a man who knew his worth. "Bro, let me say this to you directly. Respect is not something you ask for. It's something you enforce with silence, action, and boundaries. If someone talks down to you once and you say nothing, you've taught them how to treat you. You think you're saving the relationship, but you're really burying your soul. So let me ask you, who in your life is crossing that invisible line? And are you brave enough to draw it? Because here's the truth. Love without respect isn't love. It's a trap. And the key is in your hands. 3, don't always be available. Create space to be valued. Have you ever dropped everything the second she texted you? Canceled plans just because she wanted to hang out? Sat by your phone waiting for her reply, checking it every 5 minutes, like your heart was on the line? And when she finally replied, you lit up like a kid at Christmas. Even if the message was cold. Even if it came hours later. Yeah, me too. Let me tell you a story. And maybe, just maybe, it's your story too. This is the story of Rian. Rian was a good man. Loyal to the bone. The kind of man who thought love was about being there. Always. So when he met her, he gave her everything. His mornings. His evenings. His attention. His availability. Whenever she called, he picked up. Whenever she was sad, he was there. Whenever she was bored, he'd cancel whatever he was doing just to make her laugh. And at first, she adored him for it. She'd say, "You're the only one who really shows up." And he thought that meant love. But slowly, her texts became fewer, her replies shorter, her tone colder. Rian started to panic. What did I do wrong? He tried harder, sent her good morning texts every day, bought her little gifts, showed up unannounced just to surprise her, but all she gave him was distance. Let me pause here and ask you something real. Have you ever tried harder and still felt like you were losing them? Have you ever felt like you were giving everything and yet they were pulling further away? If yes, brother, you're not alone. Because like Rian, you thought availability equals love. But what he and you didn't realize is this. What's always available becomes invisible. One evening, when Rian was sitting alone with his thoughts and disappointment, he stumbled upon this quote from Marcus Aurelius. Don't waste yourself. Be occupied with what truly matters. That night, something changed. He stopped texting first. He stopped waiting. He focused on his goals, his health, his passion for music. He showed up for himself. And just like that, something happened. She noticed. She started texting again, asking where he was, telling him she missed how things used to be. But Rian had learned. It wasn't about playing games, it was about showing that he mattered too. Because here's the truth. Space creates value. When you're always around, your presence becomes background noise. But when you protect your time, when you're not always reachable, your value multiplies. So ask yourself, when was the last time you made her wait for you? Not out of ego, but because you were building your own life? When was the last time you were the mystery, instead of the guaranteed yes? Love should be mutual. But respect? That comes when she sees you as a man with a mission, not just a man at her service. For speak less, observe more, let silence be your power. Have you ever told her everything too soon? Laid out your heart, your past, your pain, your dreams, all on the table hoping she'd understand you better? And instead of feeling closer, you felt exposed? Yeah, that's not just your story. That's Arish's story too. Arish was the kind of guy who believed in deep connections. The kind who thought, if I'm honest and open, she'll see the real me, and she'll love me for it. And so on their third date, he told her everything. How his last relationship ended in betrayal. How he sometimes struggled with confidence, how he hadn't yet figured out his career. He even shared the scars of his childhood. She listened, nodded, smiled even, and for a moment Arish felt safe. But days later, he noticed something had shifted. Her tone changed. Her responses became calculated. She didn't say anything cruel, but she started using his own truths against him. You're overthinking again, she'd say. Didn't you say you have trust issues? Or I think you're still not over your ex, to be honest. Each time she said it, it stung a little deeper. Let me pause right here and ask you something. Have you ever been too vulnerable? Too fast, hoping she'd feel close, but instead, she pulled away or used it against you later? If that's ever happened to you, then you understand the pain of unearned vulnerability. Because here's the truth. You don't have to say everything to be understood. One day, after one too many of her sarcastic comments, Arish decided to take a step back. He stopped oversharing. He became quieter, more observant. He began to notice how she spoke about her friends, how she handled frustration, how she treated waiters when no one was watching, and what he discovered shocked him. She wasn't the soft-hearted woman he thought she was. She was controlling, sharp, manipulative, but he had been too busy talking to ever see it. Then one night he came across this line from Marcus Aurelius. The wise man is silent. He watches, he listens, and then he speaks. It changed everything. From that day, Arish made a new rule. Speak less, observe more. Let time reveal people, not just their words, but their patterns. And suddenly, people started respecting him more. Even she did, though it was too late by then. You see, silence isn't weakness. It's a shield, a test, a filter. When you speak less, you give people space to show you who they are. And when you observe more, you protect yourself from the illusion of quick connection. So let me ask you, brother, do you talk so much that you miss the truth between her words? Do you rush to bond before you've really seen who she is? Let your silence speak. Let your stillness filter out the noise. Because a man who watches before he acts is a man women respect. Not because he's cold, but because he's in control. To make her earn emotional access to you. Don't give the king's heart for free. Have you ever fallen for someone so fast that you handed them the key to your heart before they even earned your trust? You told her your fears, your hopes, your soul's secrets, and you thought, if I open myself up, she'll stay. She'll value me more. But instead, she left, and you were left standing there, empty, like a king who gave away his crown to a stranger. That's not just your story. That's the story of Kabir. Kabir was the guy every girl said they wanted. Emotional, deep, thoughtful. He didn't play games. He loved hard, and when he did, he gave everything. When he met Tara, it felt magical. The way she looked at him. The way she listened. The way she laughed at all his jokes. By the second week, he was sharing childhood memories, old heartbreaks, his darkest insecurities. He told her about the betrayal from his first love, the pain of being misunderstood by his parents, the fear of not being man enough in a world that expects silence from men. And Tara, she seemed to love it. at first, but soon things began to shift. She became colder, less interested. She stopped asking questions. And when he'd try to connect emotionally again, she'd say things like, "You're too emotional. Maybe you need to toughen up a bit." Kabir was crushed. He didn't understand. He thought emotional openness was strength. So why did it feel like weakness now? Let me ask you this. Have you ever shown someone your soul too soon and felt them pull away? Have you ever been told that you're too much for loving deeply? Because here's a truth Marcus Aurelius would nod in agreement with. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability, and especially not without earning it. One night after another silent evening with Tara, Kabir read something that struck him like lightning. Do not give what is sacred to those who mock the sacred. He realized something powerful. He had treated her like a queen, without ever asking if she saw him as a king. From that day, Kabir changed. He didn't become cold. He became wise. He stopped offering emotional access so freely. He let time, consistency, and effort decide who got a seat at his table. And suddenly, everything changed. People leaned in more. Women respected him more. Because now his emotions were not for free. They were earned. So ask yourself, brother, are you giving away the most sacred parts of your heart to someone who hasn't proven they can hold it? Do you offer your soul before they've shown their loyalty? You are not a free temple for every passerby. You are a king, and your emotional throne must be protected with boundaries, not begging. When you make her earn your inner world, you don't lose power. You gain respect. And with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, bringing it all together. Lucius didn't become alpha. He didn't read pickup lines or memorize manipulative tactics. He became stoic, grounded, unapologetic in his values. He built 5 boundaries around himself like a fortress. He protected his time. He rejected disrespect. He stopped chasing. He mastered his emotions. And he wasn't afraid to walk away. And in doing so, he gained what he always wanted. Not just respect from women, but respect from himself. That's what Marcus Aurelius taught. That's what Stoicism gives. A backbone in a world of spineless romance. If you want to be loved, first be respected. And if you want to be respected, build boundaries. Because boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are gates that only let in those who truly deserve a place in your life. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.